Let me save you 10 years of spiritual practice, because it is easy to hop on one train to the next, but never actually arriving at the destination we are trying to get to. The first question we have to ask ourselves is, what are we actually trying to achieve? Are we trying to achieve inner peace, more love, more joy in our life? If we are not clear on where we are going and why, then it is easy to drift and wander for many, many years. And that's not good. What I will share with you here is the path to peace and freedom. Freedom from suffering. You may also find that you experience more joy and more love on this path as well. You see, as it has been said, enlightenment is the ego's greatest disappointment, because the one who wants enlightenment is not the same one who will experience it. Probably the number one pitfall we experience on this spiritual path is the spiritual ego, a spiritual identity in which we build our life around. And we think we're doing the right thing because we're focusing on positive stuff, higher truths, and sometimes detaching ourselves from worldly things. But the spiritual ego is the same thing as a regular ego. It just has come in through the back door without our awareness. You see, what the spiritual ego is, it is a person on a spiritual journey to achieve some spiritual outcome. Yes, it is good to be on this higher path, but it is not enough to find what you are looking for. And you can get stuck on this spiritual journey indefinitely if you're not careful. You see, the spiritual journey ends the moment you realize that there was no distance to the destination, and that there is no person to embark on a spiritual journey. That what you are looking for is right here, right now. It does not take time. The X that marks the spot on your treasure map is right beneath your feet. And it is always here with you. The problem we get into is that we think that whatever it is we're looking for is found in the future. It is found in attaining something we have yet to find. It presupposes that we're missing something, and that this journey is a retrieval of whatever it is we were missing. If you were to go out into the world and achieve all the worldly success, everything you could ever desire, there would still be a lack in you. People spend entire lifetimes trying to look for something, but they're not quite sure what it is. And I am here to tell you what that thing is, this deep inner longing that nothing of this world can satisfy. What you are looking for is yourself. Not this person, this individual we think that we are, but the true nature of who we are. As it has been said, what you are looking for is already where you are looking from, the innermost core of our being. And at the innermost core of our being is a great jewel that is more valuable than any resource in this universe. And the systems that be are designed to prevent you from recognizing this truth. Because the moment you recognize this truth, there is nothing in existence that can enslave you anymore. You are forever and eternally free. You are free from suffering. You are free from the illusions of this world. I like to say most people are living life on demo mode. And only until you recognize the true nature of what you are do you begin the full version. The true game of life. Because until then, you will always be a slave to something. But life was meant to be played from a place of freedom, so that you can express yourself fully in the world and not be limited by all these different chains. On the spiritual path, we often get caught in these golden chains, the chains of moral righteousness. And the reason that these are chains are because from this perspective, even though it is good, you are still a person trying to be a certain way. You are putting yourself in a box, and you become a slave to that box. An idea, a story in your head about who you are. What I am sharing with you is how to break free from this box, to live unboxed. You see, it does not take time to find what you are looking for. You can awaken in an instant, right here, right now. There is nothing stopping you. But perhaps your belief that what you are looking for is something you do not already have, or that it's not something that you already are. You see, there are three main aspects to what we are. We exist between two polar opposite realities: a temporary physical world that is ever changing, and an eternal formless realm that is unchanging, that is infinite potential. And we exist all along this spectrum. What you are is far greater than you could have ever imagined. This physical form is like the tip of the iceberg. Most of you is non-physical. Most of you cannot see. These bodies are like temporary clothes that we wear. And so all the way toward the temporary realm exists our body. And the halfway point between the temporary world and the eternal realm is our mind. Our mind is the gateway between these two worlds. It has the power to look outward, and it has the power to look within. And halfway in between the mental world and the eternal world is what you might call our soul, the deeper aspect of our being that is for all intents and purposes eternal, that incarnates into different life forms in order to free itself from attachments, from karma. And as we free ourselves from these attachments, we rise back to the eternal realm, back to the source, back to God, back to the kingdom of heaven, an eternal source of bliss that in truth is your true nature. You see, at the very end, in this eternal realm, resides consciousness. Consciousness that is the true nature of what you are, the God essence. So we go from unconditioned, pure consciousness down into the most conditioned aspects of ourselves. So we get more and more specific, more and more unique, whereas everybody is that same one consciousness. It is the consciousness in your pets, in the aliens out there, in the dinosaurs, and in every human being and in every living being in this universe. We are all the same one consciousness, experiencing itself through an infinite array of different forms, experiencing God's divine play. We are all actors on a stage, this stage of earth, playing out our roles in front of a galaxy of angels. And yet most of us are method acting. We believe ourselves to be the characters that we are currently playing. And that is what we build our life around. But unfortunately, for these ones, this play is a tragedy, because this person, this individual we believe ourselves to be, is always changing. The body is always changing, the mind is always changing, and change is death. And so when we build the foundation of our life on that which is changing, when the storms of life come, the floor beneath us begins to crack. It cannot sustain us. It is not reliable. And so to access the true game of life, we must find that which is unchanging, that which is eternal. And we build our life around this. And therefore, you are eternally free, because you realize that there is no death. Come into harmony with the aspect of yourself that is transcendent, that is already free from all your experiences. So imagine the earth and all the earthly things down here. And then your mind is here, controlling your body and doing things in the world. But your consciousness is up here, above all the noise of the world, all of your experiences. Consciousness is indestructible, it is infinite, it is eternal. There is no thing in this existence that can harm or destroy or influence consciousness in any way possible. Our souls can be influenced, our mind can be influenced, and our body most certainly can be influenced. But consciousness remains untouched. It is pure, and to recognize your true nature as consciousness is the highest spiritual practice. And it's not even a practice, it's a simple recognition. And then once you recognize this fact, it is a remembering, because once you recognize your true nature as consciousness, you will get pulled back into the world, pulled back into your identity with being a person, with being an ego, meaning you will get triggered by experiences, and you will experience suffering. And in these moments, you will wake up once again to your true nature. You will return back to your true place and remember who you are. Even though it does not take time to recognize your true nature, it does take some time to stabilize in this space, because our ego, our personal identity, has an energetic charge, a kind of karmic momentum. It has a life of its own, so it pulls us back into the illusion of separation, the illusion of the world. Like a fan that is moving really fast, and then when you turn off the switch, slowly but surely the fan begins to slow down and stop. This is what happens when you cut the juice, when you cut the fuel source from the ego, which is your belief, your energy, your attention, your identification with the ego. And so the game from that point forward is you get caught and then you remember, and then you get caught and then you remember. So how might we recognize our true nature? Well, as I said, it is always here with you right now because you are here. And so the first key, the doorway into eternity, is through the eternal present moment. If you close your eyes, you might sense a vast ocean of space and silence around you. And this space and this silence is eternal. It is always here. But the problem is that when there is noise in the world, we pay attention to the noise and we ignore the silence. Only when you travel out into the forest does the silence that is always here emerge. So too, within you is an eternal inner spaciousness and an inner silence. And within this inner silence, there is an eternal peace that never leaves you. Once you truly recognize this space, you may experience peace for the rest of your life. That is what happened to me. Once I recognized this inner space, I realized that there was an inner peace that was always present no matter what I experienced. And that peace has never left me since. There may have been a few times where I got distracted by the noise, but I've always returned back, centering myself, grounding myself in the present moment, and remembering my true nature. And so if you pay attention, what does the outer space around you feel like? You can sense it. You can get an idea of what it is like. Now take your awareness from the outer space and focus your awareness within you. And what you will find is that there is an inner space, the exact same space, only separated by the sensation of your skin. Your skin acts like a boundary between the outer space and the inner space. Once you recognize this inner spaciousness, you will find an often subtle radiance, a presence, and this is the radiance of consciousness, your true nature. So the spiritual practice is removing your identity from the ego and placing it on your true nature as this presence, as the radiance of consciousness. But you see, this radiance is like the light and heat coming from the sun. It is a part of the true nature of what you are, but it is not the source. Once you recognize this inner spaciousness and this presence, the next step is to recognize what is aware of this inner spaciousness and this presence. Where is the position of this awareness? Who is the one looking? And as the spiritual teacher Mooji often says, can the perceiver be perceived? This is a first-hand personal experience of discovering the nature of what you are in this present moment. Quickly, almost immediately, the ego dissolves within the light of the truth. Because when you close your eyes, you cannot find your ego. You cannot find the person you believe yourself to be. But you will find this presence and this inner spaciousness, these things that never leave you. And this space, this presence is the same in me, it is the same in you, and in all beings. You see, there are only two things that exist in this reality. There is an infinite array of changing experiences upon the backdrop of an unchanging awareness. You must recognize your true nature as this unchanging awareness. In the waking state, you are aware of your changing experiences. In the dream state, you are aware of your changing experiences. And in the state of deep sleep, there you are, still aware of another changing experience. Then you wake up again to more changing experiences. But you never change. All that changes are the images that rise and fall back into your awareness. Just like all the sounds around you arise from and fall back into an eternal silence. And so you see, what you will find is that you cannot actually perceive yourself because you are already one with yourself. Like a knife that could cut anything in the universe, but it can never cut itself. Like a scale that could weigh all the different things, but a scale can never weigh itself. And the hottest fire in the universe can burn all things, but it can never burn itself. So too, you cannot see yourself because you are yourself. Do not allow the mind to overcomplicate this. It is as simple as it seems. It is almost a cosmic joke that we have spent an eternity searching for something that was right in front of our faces the whole time. But I like to say, the truth is often like our nose. It's so close to our face that the only way to really see it is by looking in the mirror. I wish you much luck on your awakening experience. And if you have any thoughts or questions, please feel free to comment down below. And if you want to dive deeper into any questions you might have, I encourage you to schedule a one-on-one with me so we can clarify anything you may be having trouble with. Much peace and many blessings.